Hello and welcome to today's European SharePoint Office 365 and Azure Community webinar. My name is Shane and I'm delighted to be joined by Gökhan Ozifsi, who will be talking to you about Don't Simply Deploy, Transform Your Way of Collaboration with Office 365. Remember to join in the conversation about today's webinar on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @EuropeanSP and our hashtag is ESPC17. After the webinar, we will have a questions and answers session. Type any questions you have for Gökhan in the questions window. Some questions will be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar is being recorded and you will be notified by email when it is available. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to our webinar presenter, Gökhan Ozifsi. Hello, Gökhan.
Hello. So I'm going to just share my screen and hopefully everybody can just enjoy the show.
Take it away, Gökhan. I can see your screen.
Voila. So hello, welcome all. Bonjour, goedemorgen, namaste, merhabalar, salam, shalom from every language, from every corner of the world. Welcome to my webinar today on Don't Just Deploy, Transform. Transform, build an intelligent workplace, improve your collaboration, get to know how to use Office 365. You can imagine a lot of session titles, but this is a session where you will get a lot of information. But just before we get into the session, into the webinar, I'm from a special country where we have the best waffles in the world, best chocolate in the world, best fries and best beer in the world. Yes, I am from Belgium, and what I'm saying always is like without Belgium, humanity is lost. Could you imagine a world without waffle, chocolate, French fries and beer? I can't. So I really hope that at least once in your life you'll come into my country and get to taste one of these wonderful things. My name is Gökhan Ozifsi. Don't try to say Ozifsi. I've been doing it like I needed 4 years for spelling it correctly. I'm from Belgium, as I mentioned. I'm an independent consultant. My company's name is Neoxy. I'm a Microsoft Regional Director, a SharePoint server, or with the new name, Office Server and Services MVP. My Twitter handle is xgokhan, and I'm happy to also say that I was selected as an influencer last year at the European SharePoint Conference 2016. Today's session, I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones. You will see a lot of images of Game of Thrones coming in. So you are going to be Jon Snow. You're going to be alone, and you will get a lot of information about this session, about what's a digital workplace, what's Office 365 as a digital workplace as a service, and what's the VNext of Office 365 as a digital workplace for improving my collaboration. You'll see a lot of information coming through this session today. So the first big question you need to ask to yourself is, Gökhan, or XYZ, what is a digital workplace? What can I do for improving my collaboration into my new era of digital workplace? You have a lot of few things that you can do. You have a lot of things that you will see on the internet, that you will experience by yourself, and this is a wrap-up of everything that you can see everywhere. There is a known definition of a digital workplace. A digital workplace consists of a set of tools, platforms, and environments for work and collaboration. So this is the classic known definition of a digital workplace. This is what you basically have in your organization. And what you need to archive is this one. A great digital workplace consists of a holistic set of tools, platforms, and environments for work delivered in a coherent, reusable, and productive way. So coming from a classic, banal legacy definition to a great definition. This is your mantra. This is something that you should do within the organization to actually get a better collaboration, to get a better digital workplace into the organization. So many people will say, and as Microsoft will also do there in their conference, is saying like Office 365 is the best play for delivering the modern, the next generation of digital workplace. As Office 365 is the union of people, processes, services, and enterprise-grade applications to enable continuous delivery of value and empowering every person. This is how I see, and these are my words on Office 365 today. Office 365 will give you a lot of services, will give you a lot of enterprise-grade processes that will help you actually archiving the new digital workplace and improving your collaboration. As a lot of services, as a lot of stacks, as a lot of tool sets within Office 365 are integrated with each other. Like take the example, like whenever you create an Office 365 group, a SharePoint site is created. Right? Whenever you create a planner plan, automatically an Office 365 group is created, which means by default the SharePoint site is created. Like all that stuff, the union of people and processes, that will help you on getting a better way of collaboration. And we will see in a few slide decks later why and how it could help you. Office 365, what are the key activities for your digital workplace? So we know 6 or 8, I don't know, I can't remember the exact number, but we have a lot of pillars within Office 365. The first one is the personal productivity. The second one is the collaboration with Office 365. The business applications such as Power Apps and Flow, mobility, store, share, and find, and communication. And if we have to translate that 6 pillars, the main advantages of Office 365, such as collaboration or the share and find and mobility, which are really the key benefits of Office 365, if we have to translate them, well, we get something like this. Within Office 365, when we talk about sharing, storing, and collaborating, I think directly about SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. When I think about finding information and getting data within my index, I directly think about Delve and the Graph. When we talk about the enterprise-grade business applications, well, maybe not the enterprise part, but I have my Flow. I have Power Apps. We'll definitely also have Staff Hub within Office 365. Communication, which is also a big pillar in Office 365, we talk about Microsoft Teams, Yammer, SharePoint Communication Skype, and Skype for Business. If we continue to just think about the pillars like mobility, like Office 365 has been improved and made to run everywhere and on every device, like on iPhone, Android. And the personal productivity, like my analytics and Planner and SharePoint Insights, which all will give you details on what you do and how you do within Office 365 within a few seconds. All the 6 pillars translated is the definition of Office 365, which will automatically give you the next generation of digital workplace. So digital workplace from the other's perspective, so there is a website on the internet which is clearbox.co.uk, which actually define to you what a digital workplace of today has to look. And they say, like, the first thing, a workplace is not a work place. There is no place on working. Your digital workplace should be something that you could run and be able to get your data from anywhere. It is not because you're in your network, in your perimeter, in your organization that you could get data. No, it is also something that you could go outside your network perimeter, outside of the organization for getting data and collaborating and working. The second point is manage the outcome, not the processes. You should focus on your productivity, not on how things are being handled. Complex workflows, no, it should be simple. Just go to the point and just manage the outcome, not the process. The digital workplace should be something, a pleasure to use. How many of yours, and let's be honest, have that SharePoint Server 2010 or even 2013, very slow, ugly-looking workplaces, intranets as they call it, like a lot of us, and it's slow, and pages are not responding well, and you have way too much information on a page. Remember all that sites? It's not fun to use, and digital workplace is really fun to use. Collaboration only works if we all do it in the same way. There is a very cool thing about that is, like, if you put a soccer player, a basketball player, and a volleyball player within the same team, well, they're all sportsmen, right? But they don't do the same, so you can never win a match. So we should all be the same and all look on the same way to archive the best within Office 365. Let me myself online, which is definitely makes sense. I have seen a lot of organizations blocking, like putting people personal images on their Skype. Why should I block it? Just let me myself online. This will definitely help adoption and use of people using it. Work doesn't stop at the firewall. As I mentioned, everything should be gathered by helping, me to do what matters, and if I don't like it, and I can always leave. This is also one of the main benefits of the digital workplace of tomorrow or today's, is if I don't like how it's being used, I can always leave. I can always go for something else. I know a lot of organizations, they force you to use the system, the legacy system of today. It should be definitely also something, your digital workplace, your collaboration, that if you don't like it, you can definitely do it in another way. So Office 365, Microsoft is pushing Office 365. A lot of MVPs are pushing a lot of Office 365, and they have their rights. Like the strength of Office 365, the provisioning engine is so great. Whenever you add a new user account into Office 365, it will provision for you a mailbox, it will provision for you a SharePoint site, so your OneDrive. You get your data within OneDrive for Business, etc., etc. So you don't have to go to different IT departments and ask for, the user account, the mailbox, and the SharePoint site, and blah, blah, blah. Everything is done for you whenever you add a user. The automation, like whenever you create a group, like a SharePoint and a planner is created, is something crazy. I really love that stuff. Like whenever you create ABC, it will provision a group for you, and the group will provision something else for you. It is all integrated. The automation today in your organization, when you have a SharePoint site, whenever you create it, if you didn't script it, well, nothing is automated. You have to do it by yourself. And within Office 365, it's out of the box. The extensibility with the SharePoint framework, the Microsoft Bot framework, the APIs, you have a lot of people saying like, hey, Office 365 is a SaaS. It's a service that Microsoft provides to you, and you have no way to change it, which is not true. You can extend your SharePoint pages with the SharePoint framework and create so cool web parts. Right? And this is also main strength of Office 365. The diversity, you have more than one tool for everything. Think about the tasks. You have the planner tasks, the Outlook tasks, Wonderlit, which is deprecated, but it still is there. You have the Microsoft To Do, etc., etc. Right? You have for collaboration, you have the instant messaging, which is Skype. You have Teams coming on board, etc., etc. You always have multiple choices within Office 365, which is maybe not the case in your organization, as they force you to use only the tool they have in-house, right? The next generation technology, like having Delve and Analytics, or even the Microsoft Graph, which is the endpoint for developers, is so cool. You will never have Delve into the organization as it requires a lot of machines, a lot of computing resources, etc. Within Office 365, you get it, you can use it. Just pay for the My Analytics, which is part in the E5 subscription, and you can get a lot of data about yourself within Office 365. The manageability, being able to handle operations even outside the corporation. Like you're outside the work, you're maybe even on vacation, and there is a mail where you have to respond, or you have to even just create a website. It is possible. You can do it. Just go on login.microsoftonline.com, give your credentials, and you're set to go. You can just do whatever you want to do outside home, right? Which is maybe not the case. And even if it's the case, you have like a secure VPN connection, SSL connection. You have to handle with tokens. You have to maybe even have a token card and do different sign-in operations, which is such as crazy, right? With Office 365, just surf on one link and you're ready to go. Cloud offerings, like how many in the organization has home directories? Like everybody, we all have home directories, right? And they're always like between the 250 megabyte and 500 megabytes. It is really strange when you get more than a gig as a home directory in the organization, as it costs a lot. Like storage costs a lot of money for the organization. You have to backup it, you have to restore it, etc., etc. And within Office 365, you get 1 terabyte into the OneDrive for Business, right? And you can even go to 25 terabytes of data in a SharePoint site, which is huge. All of these are the advantages of Office 365. The challenges, I'm not going to call the weaknesses, but the challenges of Office 365 is the insights around the deprecated features. So if you want to build your digital workplace in Office 365 and you want to improve your collaboration in Office 365, you have to take care about deprecations, because Microsoft is not doing that well with deprecations. Like site mailboxes. Everybody has used site mailboxes for a long time. Like since Jesus Christ, since SharePoint ever existed, we use site mailboxes. And Microsoft said, like in SharePoint Online, they're going away. So they made the announcement like the end of January 2017, and the execution was planned for March 2017. So if you build your digital workplace, like whenever you create a site with a site provisioning script, you create a site which will create a site mailbox for XYZ reason, well, within the 2 months, you have to review the whole flow of your site provisioning script, because the site mailbox is going away. Like they also announced, like Access Services is going away. They announced it in April 2017, and the execution was in June 2017. Like Microsoft is bringing a lot of cool features. That's cool, but whenever they want to take it back, they do it very fast. So you have to be always aware of what's going on. Like on governance, yeah, we know like every teams will create a group, will create a SharePoint, will create a planner. We all know that, but whenever it comes on governance, like how should I do that? How should I manage my planner? Because you know that whenever I create a team, it will create a group, but when I do not create a group, when I create a group, it will not create a team. Like, okay, how do I manage that? You don't know. It's up to you, and this can be very difficult for organizations if they don't get a clear governance plan, if they don't get a very expert in governance material, and if they don't check it, they will think like if I create a group, it will create a team, which is not the case today. Maybe in the near future, it can get complications into your tenant. The size of mobile applications, it is huge. If you have an old smartphone with only 16 GB of internal storage, like if you install every application on the Microsoft stack, you will need at least 4 or 5 GB. Like only the PowerPoint and Word, they are like 300 MB each. Technical documentation, you don't have any technical documentation. That's the bad thing as well. As an architect, as an administrator, you want to know like how does, as an example, the graph works. Many people will say like, hey, it's with signals and blah, 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 but there is no real documentation on how things works within the Office 365. Like in progress in some stacks like Planner and Sway, like those tools exists, but did you ever hear about a big improvement about Sway, which was the next generation of PowerPoint? I don't know. Like Yammer, like editing a post took like 3 years to become alive. Like editing a post, it was so difficult. And if you want to build your digital workplace and your collaboration experience on Yammer, you have to know it is still the preferred way of Microsoft doing it, but some progress can be very slow. And slow progress in some stacks, like external sharing in Microsoft Teams, it took a while to bring that on Teams. It is now the case. People can today share with Windows Azure Active Directory tenant users. We're still waiting like for non-Windows Azure Active Directory tenant users, but it's not the case today. Other challenges, the auto-create groups is still a fiasco. If you don't have, as I said, a cool and a very well documented governance plan, every SharePoint site will create a group, every planner plan will create a group, every Teams will create a group. So if you have a developer, as I had, who just created 50,000 sites just for fun, you will have 50,000 planner plans and 50,000 SharePoint sites and 50,000 mailboxes, etc., etc. So just be careful whenever you try to use it. Modern SharePoint sites, Microsoft is using modern for at least everything, but you have to know that not everything is modern when we say modern. The modern website, you have a lot of things that are not supported, like the custom master pages, changing modern sites to use classic Seattle master or Oslo.master, the custom page layouts and blah, 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 blah. You have a lot of things that are not supported. The list can change very fast, and something can become supported. That's the reason why you have the msdn.microsoft.com, modern experience customization, customized sites link, which I provide, where you can always have a look and see if what you try to do is supported or not by Microsoft. The confusing management user interface, like whenever you create a SharePoint site, the root site gets the modern experience. Whenever you create the sub-site, it gets the classic experience. We raised the question at Microsoft, and as far as I did understand, Microsoft will not invest time and effort on getting the modern experience on classic sub-sites. So you can conclude that sub-sites will be replaced by hub sites. Okay? No PowerShell support for several stacks. Like today, we have a few PowerShell commandlets for Microsoft Teams and no at all for Planner. Like, I would love to see PowerShell commands coming to every stack within Office 365. PowerShell support for SharePoint, 800 on-premise commandlets for on-premises, and only 40 online commandlets. Lack on guidance in migrations. Like, okay, we have Microsoft Teams, that's so cool. We have Planner, I really enjoy using Planner, but how do I migrate my MS Project server to Planner, or how do I migrate my collaboration experience on premises to Microsoft Teams? You know, that kind of documentation, that kind of guidance we are missing on the market. And hybrid is still not as easy as you'd like to see it. Like, you can hear a lot of people saying, like, oh, hybrid is the new normal, just go hybrid. Like, just go hybrid. It is not like just go hybrid. You still have to manage and still have to do a lot of certification, a lot of server management, and a lot of management and operational tasks on the both sides. So it is not just hybrid. It is hybrid. It is a cool way to just migrate some stuff from on-premises to Office 365. Like you may just move on a phased approach, the search, manage metadata, insights, and blah, blah, blah. But the word just hybrid is not correct. It is still difficult. It is still, for at least a lot of people who don't get the on-prem part and who are very bad in networking, etc., it can be still a blocking factor. The Office 365 progress, we have a lot of new cool features coming on it, like the Microsoft Teams, Stuff Up, and Stream. A lot of investment done in SharePoint, and a lot of new components has been launched. So Microsoft is really focusing the time and energy on Office 365. Just when you look at SharePoint, you can see the SharePoint framework, groups, and SharePoint that are being embraced, modern SharePoint team sites, the new central administration, the new hybrid capabilities such as metadata and insights, the feature pack 2, the communication sites, OneDrive for business on demand, and OneDrive on demand files, and blah, blah, blah. All that stuff in only 1 year. Like, you can see Microsoft is investing a lot in the SharePoint stack and all the Office 365 components within the Office 365 experience. So, you know the good, the bad, and the ugly of Office 365, and you want to do the same in your on-premises. And there is a very cool quote that says, doing the same thing over and over and again and expecting something different is nonsense. Installing more servers in your on-premises won't help. Installing patches won't help. Installing service pack cumulative updates or installing a feature pack, it will not help you. Because today's companies can't use 19th century organizational structure with 20th century management and technology to do 21st century work. You can't just do things that you see on Office 365 today in your on-premise environment with old people who always think like on-prem from 2001 is still the thing to do. So you have to evolve. You have to transform the way of work. You have to just think out of the box, just go out of the box and think, okay, how am I going to improve my collaboration with the help of Office 365? And how do you do that? Because we know in many organizations, you have a lot of people. And who says a lot of people will say a lot of problems, because a person can be optimistic, pessimist, realistic, physicist, realist, nihilist, and blah, blah, blah. You have all kind of people. One will love Power Apps, the other one will say it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. One will say like, oh, SharePoint Online team sites, they are so cool. The other one will say, I still prefer my SharePoint Server 2007 sites, right? And it's up to you as the Office 365 administrator or the SharePoint administrator or the digital workplace architect to do something that will actually be used by everybody. So how do you actually take the image of SharePoint Server 2010, 2013 and look like the second part of the screen across all devices? You have to do something so cool that everybody wants to use it. So the first thing that you need to do within your digital workplace for your collaboration is to define a strategy. You need to define a strategy before everything. That's the first thing. My digital workplace should be platform-driven, as an example, should provide a consistent user experience. I should be actually easy to build and easy to change whenever I need. Be largely technology agnostic, bring content together from any source, and truly empower employees. These are a few examples of how your strategy should be just before beginning any new collaboration experience with Office 365. Whenever you have your strategy, and this is my own experience, I did it with a few customers here in Belgium, and I'm going to give it to you. Like the first one is the default modern collaboration apps and bring your own app strategy. So my customer wants to use the latest version of the collaboration tools within Microsoft, so the Office 365 stack, and people should just bring their own app. So if they want to build something, they should have to use it, like with Power Apps. So this was the strategy. Or another strategy could be like search-driven modern team sites with bring your own access. This could be a hybrid solution. Like if you want to use search-driven sites, like you want to use the whole power of site, hybrid search-driven modern team sites, you could go on premises with a hybrid structure, create your team sites, and go full with that strategy. So every strategy is good if you have a strategy. Going on the market without any strategy, well, that is bad. So you have your strategy, then you need to define your vision and say like, okay, I want to improve my productivity by providing the modern workplace by Office 365. This is a vision as an example. You have your strategy, and within your strategy, you have to have a vision. Like another vision could be, I want to be serverless within the 5 years. My vision is that everybody should use SharePoint Online modern sites and not using on-premises sites. This is my vision. You have to have a vision at least. You have to have goals. I want to be flexible. Within 5 years, I want to be work from anywhere, anytime, and on any device. I want to be productive. I want to share my internal knowledge. So whenever I have a ticket in my Snow, in my ticketing system, and if I bring it unresolved, I want to maybe run a flow and take that ticket and bring it into my internal knowledge system, where if I have the error again, people can just consult it, right? You can build something as a goal. And using the next generation technology for saving valuable time is also a goal that you can set within your strategy. Then you have your 3 main pillars, your strategy, your vision, and your goal. Then it's time to learn about the company, because whenever you want to implement collaboration into the organization, you need to know that organization, right? You need to know because you have to communicate with that people. You have to learn the methodologies and curves and teach them. You need to define the functional and technical design, and finally you have to create the roadmap with that people. So whenever I say a company, this is a company, right? This is still today's a company. You have a lot of companies working like that, the old workplace, but you also have a lot of companies working like that. The new, the next generation of workplaces within the organization. And you have to know, if you have old mindset people and new mindset people, that the communication with those will be different. Maybe the new one will prefer Slack or Teams for communication, which maybe the other one would say, okay, I'm an old guy, so I still prefer email. right? You have to know the organization. And you have to talk to people, and not with that kind of people, because they are simply users, they are the followers. You have to find the leader. You always have leaders in the organizations who use SharePoint and who evangelize SharePoint or Office 365 and the collaboration within the organization. And you have to talk to them. You have to actually have one-by-ones with them and say like, okay, what do you like with the collaboration experience today in the organization? What don't you like in the organization? And what do you want to have within the coming years as a collaboration experience? And you have to find that kind of leaders. So as I said, the communication and the learning methodologies and curves, that's from a company level. And the defining of the functional and technical design and the roadmap is after talking with people. So you have to talk to them. You have to say, okay, what do you have today? What do you want to have tomorrow? What's the drawbacks of your collaboration today? Maybe they will say like, hey, I can't share with people outside the organization. Cool, fair enough. But Office 365 provides a solution. Maybe they want to say, hey, I want to do custom apps. Okay, wow, cool. Power Apps can do that. So if you talk to them, it's so much more easier to define the functional and technical design. And after defining that functional technical designs, you can then, as an expert, define the roadmap and say like, okay, if we go today with Office 365, next year we can focus ourselves on Power Apps, and then we can just try to get serverless as we will use Office 365 more and more. The communication, share your vision and goals, share your strategy, communicate your roadmap, and please don't promote anything that you can't do or deliver. I've seen a lot of people promising a lot of stuff for collaboration in Office 365, like, hey, we can do that and we can do that kind of stuff, and I'll guarantee you, within 2 months, you will get everything. Please don't communicate what you can't do. And how can you communicate? If the organization is less than 100 person, I would say like go on Microsoft Teams. It's the first step on using, and they will also see how powerful it is. And if you're more than 100 person in the organization, I would say use Yammer for the communication. So, is this a cool way of communication? Make digital workplace great again. I really love the joke. It's so cool. But not everybody can agree with that. Like, the message is cool, but the way of communicating can be very bad. So this is not a cool way of communication to your organization. What you can do is definitely sending email. But again, is sending email the best way of communication? Maybe for the old-minded people, yes, still maybe. But for the new generation of coworkers, I don't know if email is still a valid point. What I really recommend you to do is the innovative sessions. I really love the idea of sharing the goals, the strategy, the vision, and the technical and functional design to everybody who is implicated with the digital collaboration with your new experience in Office 365. Because at the end, they will use it and they have to know what you want to build. And definitely, remember I said to you, like, you have everybody, the followers, and you have the leader. Please also train the trainer. You definitely have the leaders in the organization. They definitely know how Office 365 works, but you also have to teach them new coming stuff into Office 365, and not only by deploying, by transforming. Select your champions, the leaders. Like, you have a lot of people into the organization, and if you're working for a big company, you have the marketing guys, the IT guys, the HR guys and girls. So don't only focus yourself to one follower or one leader. Try to talk to everybody. Everybody's opinion counts. Marketing guys, IT guys, HR guys, and XYZ guys. Try to find at least one leader per department and talk to them. Collect their feedback. Use Microsoft Forms as an example. Use Office 365 reports and make one-to-one staff interviews or stakeholder interviews. This will help you understanding the drawbacks of today and the needs for tomorrow. So, how do you create the next generation of collaboration experience in Office 365? So we know the cool, the bad, and the ugly stuff of Office 365. We know before beginning any new experience with your digital workplace in Office 365 for a better collaboration experience, you have to plan, you have to build some technical and functional designs, you have to talk to people, you have to define a roadmap, you have to share it, but after that, you have to work, you have to deliver something, right? So deploying an Office 365 tenant, it's easy, it's not that difficult. But what I meant with don't simply deploy, transform is this kind of stuff. Whenever you have made your teams, your Office 365 groups and deployed teams and defined your governance, the first thing is please try to get notifications. It is so important. Like, let me give you a real world scenario. On your iPhone or your Samsung, you have Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and many other apps. If there was no notification on that apps, only one or twice you would go into that app. By getting notifications, you always go into that app and check what's going on. I do not like opening every single time my fat Outlook client on my laptop. I open it because I get a notification like Mr. and Mrs. XYZ send you an email. And this is why you should do the same into the Office 365 tenant in your new experience of collaboration, getting notifications. Webhooks, try to use webhooks and develop some kind of intelligence behind every stack to get notifications, which will actually improve and actually it will help you adopting Office 365 and the different stacks, and you will use that new component as much as you could use because you get the notification. A second part is to integrate the new world chat solutions such as WhatsApp. And it's not a joke. Yes, we have Microsoft Teams. Yes, we have Skype for business, for collaboration and communication. That's true. And I would definitely agree if anybody wants to use it. But if you have such a possibility on integrating WhatsApp into your digital workplace, do it. Really do it. As you can see from the 1996 until 2015, you can see how WhatsApp has evolved and how many messages are being sent a day. It is crazy how many people just send messages by WhatsApp. So why shouldn't I integrate any WhatsApp stuff into my digital workplace if it will improve productivity and adoption in Office 365? You should really think a lot about that. Your digital workplace should be mobile, even with other applications. We know Microsoft is mobile first, cloud first, and they'll do a lot to making Office 365 mobile responsive, but also other stacks that you develop with Power Apps or XYZ should be mobile friendly and mobile ready. Integrating bots, a lot of people will talk about bots, and it's the new generation of communication. A lot of people already adopted it. Like if you go on flight companies and you want to book a ticket, you definitely have bots coming on it, and they want to help you. You could also integrate bots into a digital workplace, and instead of searching for documents with the search center, you can just talk to your bot and say like, hey, I'm searching for that kind of document. And with intelligence behind that, the bot could give you a response. Real-time integration improves adoption and engagement. So if you have the ability and you have the knowledge, please try to integrate bots into your digital workplace for the collaboration experience. I would love to show you a demo, but I can't today because I have a few issues with my tenant, but I have a print screen for you. I just tested the T-bot, which is the Teams bot on my Microsoft Teams, and I just said, like in English, where are my settings? And he translated that for me, and he said like, où sont mes paramètres in French? As you can see, he understood what I said, and he even got a response for me. So why could you don't do the same within your organization and say like, okay, I'm going to integrate the bot in my Teams, in my digital workplace in a SharePoint page, blah, 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 and I would just let people talk to them and make adoption and integration as fast as possible. Modifying your default search with Cortana when interacting with your digital workplace. We know, and we've seen a lot of demos, like Cortana is coming more and more in our life. And I've seen a demo on a keynote, I can't remember anymore where, but where people or the keynote presenter just said like, hey Cortana, could you just show me the report of XYZ? And Cortana went to Power BI, get the report, and showed on the taskbar. Could you imagine doing that with your digital workplace and saying like, hey Cortana, please open me XYZ? And it just goes to the SharePoint site, get the document and open it for you. It would be so cool and people would love to use it, definitely. Modifying the query, as I said a few seconds ago, like here are a few print screens, like modifying the Cortana to integrate Power BI queries, like just ask the question to Cortana and he will just get the information and show it as a Power BI report into the taskbar. How cool is this? It is so cool. I really enjoyed the idea. If I had the capability on doing it in my organization today, I would definitely do it. Because just by asking one question, you already get a lot of data, a lot of reports from one screen. That's so cool, so amazing. Modify your applications to interact with other applications. Like we know Office 365 provides a lot of information, and we have a lot of stacks for communication as for collaboration, but you have also other tools outside the Office 365 stack. WordPress, PHP, SAP, etc., etc. All that third-party tools has their advantages as well. So it's up to you to modify the mantra and the ideology of your workplace to interact with other applications as well. It should not be only Microsoft focused, only Office 365 focused, but it should be also open to other stacks. Okay? Don't use emails anymore, but external sharing. Microsoft has been improving that service a lot. And you have a lot of stacks in Office 365, which helps you sharing with SharePoint, OneDrive for Business, Microsoft Teams, Office 365 groups. You may share and securely share with Office 365. Because today, within your legacy intranet or digital workplace, you actually send an email. And that email is maybe transferred to another person, and you definitely lose the capability of managing the security on that item. Within the external sharing, today you can set a time, like after 7 days, the document is not being shared anymore. Right? How cool is that? And you could just definitely implement this into your digital workplace as well. Social media integrated, like being able to like posts, being able to share any status on Facebook, getting data from Twitter, from LinkedIn, from Instagram into a digital workplace should be a capital thing into a digital workplace. You have a lot of people getting data, hashtags from Twitter, getting images, at least professional images from Instagram to your digital workplace. And these are a few statistics about social media. 52% of online adults now use 2 or more social media. 70% of the US population has at least one social networking profile. Of the 7.2 billion people on Earth, 3 billion have internet access. The average social media user maintains 5 accounts. Whenever I see that kind of stats, it would be crazy to not integrate any social media account or social media integration within your digital workplace. And I know it's extremely complicated to maintain it, as you have a lot of governance to do, as you have a lot of checks to do, like what if I import non-professional images or hashtags within the company, but please try to get at least one of the social medias into your digital workplace experience. And in any of your pages analytics, like how many likes do I have on my pages, how many downloads, view of my documents, how many comments, etc., etc. It's so important for the end user, as the manager, as the CIO, as everybody actually in the organization wants to know how many page view you have, how many document view you have, how many times you download it. And you have a very, very cool new feature coming on SharePoint, is SharePoint Insight, where you will be able through search queries to know how many times a document or document has been downloaded, how many times it has been viewed on which browser, which we never had before. Today, you'll be able to do it. And please try to get that data and show it as well into your new digital workspace experience. The intelligent knowledge is actually the proactive, algorithm-driven delivery of customized information based on employees' activities, which is simply my analytics. I want to know how many time did I spend on sending emails, on reading emails, how many time did I do on meetings, how many time did I spend on my SharePoint page, etc., etc. All that stuff, please make it visible to the users, to the coworkers. They need to know how many time they spend. It's not, just for saying like, oh, you're the bad guy, you've been spending 6 hours on email. It's not the purpose. It's just a mirror on showing information about yourself. And if you have that chance, with my analytics, don't block it. Let people use it and get the whole benefit of it. Enable next generation technology. I've been saying like Sway is the next killer of PowerPoint, and you have a lot of organizations saying like, oh, okay, it's maybe too new and we don't know, we still prefer PowerPoint. I'm okay with all of that. You have your own preferences, cool, but please don't block any next generation technology into the organization, at least from a collaboration perspective, because it is not because you don't like it that the coworker cannot use it for doing his job. There is a difference between not using and blocking the tool. And I would prefer opening it and not using it than blocking it and making unhappy customers and coworkers, right? The enabling of personal cloud within your digital workplace and collaboration experience, I said you have a few, and I'm going to come on that part as well. You have a few tools for collaboration, but you also have other third-party tools of collaboration. Like I know a few people using Dropbox for collaborating and sharing documents. I know a few people using G Drive, right? And it's not always about OneDrive, but you may use Dropbox for XYZ reason, which is fine. And it's up to you to find the perfect balance between what to use when. If you say like, okay, you may all use Gmail, OneDrive, G Drive, blah, 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 well, the security team will not be happy because they will say you are opening the ports for everybody. But if you say like, okay, I'm closing everything, then the coworkers will not be happy because they can't work. So it's up to you to find the perfect balance and open the tools and stacks that they are really using and closing the ports for tools that they are not using. Okay, but definitely enable personal cloud. And virtual assistant, this is something I would love to see in each organization, and I had to share it. I've never done it before, but I had to share it with you guys, is Cortana. Microsoft is focusing a lot of time and energy on Cortana, and during Ignite, Microsoft, Satya Nadella showed how Cortana could actually improve productivity within the organization. As a guy just connected from Singapore, and the other one was in New York, I guess, and they both worked through Cortana on a Ford car who was produced in another country, and they all worked together. And that screen shows the power of Cortana. A dad showing to the girl on how to repair some stuff through Cortana. Take the example that you have the same, and you are working in Singapore. And through Cortana, you can manage a server, you can manage your digital workplace, you can do anything you want and help other coworkers just through Cortana. I know what I'm saying is visionary stuff, but I had to share it. It's so cool to not share the ideology behind that. So you have a lot of stacks. You have, as I said, Yammer, you have Office 365 groups, you have Teams, and come on, you still have people using the SharePoint newsfeed. The real question today comes on what to use when. And Microsoft made a cool usage scenario for your digital workplace, at least, on what to use when, on which time sensitivity. So when you look at the first image, you have different kind of people. You have the individual, the group, the team, the department, and the organization. And on the left side, you have the priority, like low or the urgent one. So Microsoft, in combination with Avanade, says like, okay, if you're on the individual part and it's low communication, then you may use OneDrive for Business because it's individual, it's only for you, and it's not that urgent. And they continue, they say like for individual communication, but it's not low, but it's becoming urgent, but it's not urgent, go for Outlook. And for the group, team, and department, go for the modern team sites. Then they say, okay, for the group, team, department, and the organization parts, you may all use the publishing site, Delve, SharePoint intranet, the Office 365 video, and the modern team site in combination with the team calendar, with the team news, with the team OneNote, with the Power Apps flow, etc., etc. And they continue, they say, okay, now the communication is urgent. It is not top urgent, but it is urgent. From a group, team, and department perspective, you may just communicate with teams, integrated with bots and connectors. Then they say, okay, from an organizational perspective, if the communication is becoming urgent, just go on Yammer. And finally, if the communication is extremely urgent, they say go on Skype for organization Skype broadcast, for personal Skype call or instant messaging, and from a group, team, and department perspective for a Skype for Business online meeting. All of that in combination with analytics. Like on the top, on the bottom of the individual, you could see the My Analytics, which should give you insights about yourself. And then Team Analytics for the group, team, and department, and the organization should get the Workplace Analytics. The Team Analytics and Workplace Analytics, they are still not released, but as far as I remember, and I could be wrong, the Team Analytics, you have a few information on the internet, and you can subscribe to a website where you actually get information about the new upcoming analytics tool, which is the Team Analytics. So this was Microsoft with Avanade, which did that, and this was valid until Ignite, last Ignite, where Microsoft said, okay, so the table of what to use when is just gone. Just forget about it, because they invented two new actual loops, the inner loop and the outer loop. The inner loop is where you work with people on a regular basis, and the outer loop is people you connect with openly across the organization. So whenever you want to collaborate with people on a regular basis, just go for Teams. And when you want to communicate with people outside the organization or with the broader people, just do it with Yammer. And you still have email, because you definitely have people who can't do without email. And this is for targeted communication. And all the content of Team, of Yammer, are stored in SharePoint. I remember when I did SharePoint on-prem courses, I always said like the SQL Server is the heart of SharePoint, and I can definitely now say that SharePoint is the heart of Office 365, as the whole content is stored in SharePoint. Final quote, because we are just 6 minutes before the end, and I should leave 5 minutes for the questions. We cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them, Albert Einstein. So if you want to do something new, you can't do it with the same thing you have today. You have to transform. You have to think differently. It is not because you have the binaries of your SharePoint Server 2010 or 2013 that you will do something really, really, really cool. You have to think differently. You have to transform your business requirements. You have to transform yourself and do something really, really cool and amazing. So the conclusion of today is you did a great job if the traditionals, baby boomers, Generation X, and millennials can use your next generation digital workplace. So if you create something, XYZ, your new collaboration experience, and if your mom, dad, daughter, sister, brother, all of them can use it without any problem, then you made a great job. That's the thing, because it's easy to use, they understand it, it will fit for old mindset people, for young people, for technical guys, for geeks, for non-geeks. It will fit for everybody because they can use it. And if they can all use it, then you made a great job. Voila. That's it. I had a talk about 55 minutes. I really hope you enjoyed the show. I've been giving a lot of information. I definitely know not everything that I've provided to you is applicable to your organization because you definitely have budget-wise things to respect and you have the culture of the organization. Like not everybody is open for a big bang change from the legacy intranet to the new digital workplace, the new experience in collaboration. So this is my email, gokan@neoxy.be. I know that the video will be posted on the website, but if you want to grab a copy of the slide deck, send me an email, or you can always ask your question and shoot any remark or something at xgokan on my Twitter. So Shane, that's it for me. We have 4 minutes left, so if you have a few questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Sure, yes, so the feedback is super, and thank you, Gokan, for a great presentation. First question in is, can we consider Microsoft Teams the ultimate tool for collaboration?
Yes, you can, for today at least. Today, we can see that Microsoft Teams is really, really popular. It's a chat-based solution of Microsoft, which actually has the same capabilities of Office 365 groups. And if you want to use Teams as a collaboration tool without zero input of your part, well, go for it. It is today the ultimate tool. Maybe not tomorrow, but today, as it is today, it is the tool. That's for sure.
Okay, great. And how can I migrate an existing legacy, excuse me, SharePoint 2007 to Office 365?
Okay, from a collaboration perspective, it's going to be difficult because the new Office 365 is very, very, very new, and it has some architectural changes, and your 2007 structure and strategy will not fit in it. So the reason why I said like you have to transform, this is a perfect example. Like you have your 2007, think differently, transform the way of collaboration and working, and migrate stuff to Office 365 manually or through Microsoft or through a third-party tool. You have a lot of customers providing solutions where you can just migrate your data from on-prem to Office 365. But you can't do just a big bang as is migration. You have to transform, change the way of working and collaboration in Office 365.
Great. Have you any examples of the best proactive for governance of sites, groups, etc., so we could avoid thousands of unused of these?
Yes, well, you can disable it, but it's definitely not recommended because it will give a lot of issues at the end, because whenever you want to create XYZ, it will fail to create XYZ as well. The governance, there is no real governance package that you can download and say like, okay, this is going to be the best thing ever. You have to do it by your own. You have to manage and create the provisioning engines to be sure that everything is respected in your governance. Unfortunately, I do not know any tool that can help you with that.
Okay, great. And then the last question is about the slides. So if anybody wants a copy of the slides, Gokan, they can email you directly?
Yes, they can. It's on the screen. Gokan@neoxy.be. They can get the slides.
Excellent. Gokan, thank you so much for your time today. Very much appreciate it.
Well, No worries at all. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Gökhan. Okay, so that is it for today. Check out upcoming webinars at sharepointeurope.com/register-for-webinars. And I'll just change the presenter. Okay, great. So if you've anything that you need, contact Gökhan there and he'll be able to help you out. Apart from that, thank you for joining today's webinar and we will see you all again shortly. Thank you and goodbye.